And who are you?
I'm the Evangelist, and I'm trying to make anime appeal to a broader audience by comparing it to a familiar genre, theme, or Western work. So you might be surprised that I never recommend One Piece to normies. But before I get into why, I want to propose a truce to the One Piece fans. You are allowed to enjoy and recommend One Piece to whoever you want, but I do think telling an anime newcomer to begin with One Piece is a misstep, especially if the goal is to convert them into a permanent fan. And for the neophytes or those completely new to anime, let's get you acquainted with One Piece. That way, you can decide for yourself. Or if you already know the synopsis of One Piece, feel free to skip ahead. So what is One Piece? It's a Japanese comic illustrated and written by Eiichiro Oda, and its chapters have been released in Weekly Shonen Jump since 1997. It's the story about Captain Monkey D. Luffy and his misfit crew of pirates, the Straw Hats. Their mission? Explore the seas, find Goldie Roger's hidden treasure, and become the king of the pirates. The problem is they only have one clue about that treasure that's hidden all in one piece.
Oh, that's why they call it that.
On the surface, it comes across as a Pirates of the Caribbean Looney Tunes mashup with a sprinkle of V for Vendetta's anarchy. You see, the tyrannical government have labeled the Straw Hats as terrorists, and Luffy is like an anime Mr. Fantastic as played by Che Guevara. For our purposes, we're focusing on the anime adaptation of the comic, which premiered in 1999, and it's still going, which leads me to reason number one I don't suggest One Piece to normies. It's too damned long! As of July 1st, 2023, there were 1,053 episodes. An episode is roughly 20 minutes, comparable to The Simpsons, which has been on the air a decade longer and only has 750 episodes. Matt Groening has nothing on Oda's output. 1,050 episodes at 20 minutes each is roughly 350 hours of content. For perspective, that's the same as watching the original Game of Thrones, Breaking Bad, all of Friends, and How I Met Your Mother, plus 70 hours of The American Office. But let's say you're committed and really want to get caught up on One Piece. You could watch 6 episodes a day, every day, for 6 months, and you'll probably still be a season behind. And I love long-form storytelling. I was into Game of Thrones and Wheel of Time before it was cool. But if we're asking someone to make a commitment to a new series or a new art form, expecting them to commit to 300 episodes before it gets good is a pretty big ask. Instead of suggesting One Piece to the anime curious, looking at My Anime List Top 100 Anime, you could instead watch Full Metal Alchemist, Brotherhood, Cowboy Bebop, every Studio Ghibli film, Fruits Basket, every Satoshi Kon work, Kaguya-sama, the first season of Vinland Saga, Your Name, and Steins Gate. I'm trying to present a diverse dining menu for about a third of the cost, immediately suggesting One Piece is kind of like ordering exotic takeout and then having to pray that the people at the party aren't a bunch of flavor-hating white people. Having covered the time sink, we move on to reason number 2 I don't suggest One Piece to an anime noob. Stylistically, it's one of the most anime I've ever seen, meaning the character design, the goofy slapstick, and the over-the-topedness that turns off many a normie. I mean, take a look at this bad guy. He looks like he's always skipped leg day. Even I, as a rabid anime fan, have limits on stylistic choices. And that's fine, it's a broad medium. Oda's artistic choices don't have to jive with me. But I do think those choices would be jarring to the standard issue Western artistic sensibility. Think of it this way. When you think of a classic Western painting, what comes to mind? For me, it's something like this. And with that in mind, compare it to this one. Picasso's Guernica is no less artistically valuable, but it can be kind of off-putting, especially if you know the history of the painting. Then again, maybe I'm being too highbrow. The target demographic of One Piece is ultimately preteen and teenage boys, which explains Nami and Robin. These two rival Barbie for impossible dimensions. Seriously, they reveal Nami's measurement in volume 69. Nice. She's 5'7" with a 38.5-inch bust, 23-inch waist, and 34.5-inch hips. So she has roughly the height, waist, and hips of Audrey Hepburn, with Rihanna's boobs. Admittedly, if this kind of body dysmorphia turns you off of One Piece, anime, in general, may not be the artistic medium for you. I mean, have you seen Ichigo in Bleach? He's 16 and looks like he's about to audition for Riverdale, whereas I couldn't break 100 pounds until I was 16. And then there's Oda's sense of humor. One Piece has about the same comedic maturity as 1990s Adam Sandler. And there's nothing wrong with that either. I still quote Billy Madison and Happy Gilmore, though that's mostly because that's the mating call of the elder millennial. Here's an example. Luffy becomes comatose in a land of Amazon women. Think Wonder Woman. They find him being overtaken by carnivorous mushrooms, and they mistake him for one of the Amazons from their village, and so they begin to tend to his wounds.
Hold on! What is this?
Is something wrong?
We've been remiss in our mushroom picking duties. There's one between her legs that we failed to catch. How careless of us!
And then they start pulling on that mushroom, not understanding why it won't come off. Don't look at me. I didn't write it. But, you know, maybe I haven't been completely fair to One Piece, especially given the first experience I had with it. Which is, reason number 3, I don't recommend One Piece to the standard television watcher. 4Kids, the company that originally licensed and dubbed One Piece. You may know them from little-known works such as Pokemon and Yu-Gi-Oh! But with One Piece, you could say one of these things is not like the other. And part of why even anime fans have bounced off of One Piece could be attributed to the 4Kids adaptation from the early 2000s. Why? Well, have you seen the meme with Brock from Pokemon calling what is clearly a rice ball a
jelly-filled donut? Huh?
That was a decision by 4Kids. And I can hear you subtitle-only anime fans. Oh, that's what you smelly dub watchers get. I'll remind you my goal is to get non-anime watchers to watch anime. And Americans don't like to read already, let alone when they watch television. And with their English dub, 4Kids brought heavy censorship, editing, and story changes to the first 143 episodes of One Piece, which they whittled down to 104 because of this. Cigarettes became lollipops, blood washed away or turned to sweat, and character death, plot-centric or not, was removed entirely in order to meet the broadcast standards for children. 4Kids was allegedly shocked at all of the material not suitable for the 8 to 13-year-old target audience. Like, did they watch it? At all? There's a great interview on this from 2010 with Senior Vice President of Digital Media, Mark Kirk, about this very subject. I'll drop a link in the description below. The One Piece conversation begins around the 32-minute mark. So in the case of the 4Kids dub, it's the opposite of my take on time. Because of the editing and the censorship, you've stripped away the essence of what makes One Piece One Piece. The story went from being long to shorter and completely nonsensical. And if that's your memory of One Piece, or anime in general, you are exactly why I started this YouTube channel. So while I may advocate that we give our anime recruits something a little more accessible than One Piece, if what I've covered here today makes you interested in One Piece, I've got a link in the description on where you can stream it. And if it's not quite up to your taste, but think there might be an anime that is, hit that like and subscribe button, and check out some of my other videos. More into sitcoms? I've got you covered. Fantasy, magic, and mayhem? Yep, that too. Maybe a contemporary anime Hey Arnold. Now that is a throwback. Yes, I have that too. There is an anime out there for you, and I am glad to help you find it.